So hello everyone, we are back again with our latest video on SQL tutorial Abikacho by Abikacho Groups. So basically in this particular video, we are going to cover everything you need to know about identity column. So let's move on and check what are identity column first. Okay. So what is an identity column in a SQL Server? So an identity column in SQL Server is a feature used to automatically generate unique values for a specific column in a table. So basically this is a feature that is used to generate unique values in a particular column. Okay. So it is commonly employed for primary keys or other unique identifiers. When you declare a column as an identity column, SQL Server handles the value generation, ensuring each row gets a distinct value without requiring manual input. Okay, so basically for identity column you don't need to manually insert the value. It will be inserted automatically and that is handled by SQL Server itself. Okay, so basically the syntax for creating an identity column is very simple. Like while you are creating the table, then you can mention the column that you need to be in identity. So you can mention basically that is identity is an integer column only integer columns can be identity, not the character column, string column. So basically you can mention identity 1 comma 1. So we will check in SSMS, then it will be more practically visible to you. Okay, so now let's move on to SSMS and create a table with one identity column. So go to development DB, now new query. Okay, so how to create an identity column? Now you can do it from a SQL query also, and from the profiler GUI also you can do. Okay, so first we will do from the script and then after we will do from the SQL Server GUI. Okay, so create table, then table name we will keep like identity check underscore check, and then here we will take two columns, one as identity, so we will take ID as the integer column and it will be identity IDENTITY. Okay, and we are providing the seed to be 1 and increment to be 1. So what is this 1 and 1? I will let you know after the creation of this table. Okay, now one column we will take like varchar column, so we will take name name 1. Okay, and it will be our varchar. Let's take 10. We will not put any more value in that. Now execute this. So now our identity column ID has been created. Now when we are going to insert the value in this particular table, then we don't need to provide the value for the ID column, we just need to provide the value for the name column. So see here, insert into identity check table, and then we need to provide the value. So what value we are going to provide? We are going to provide value only for the name. Okay, so Ram, and then second value we will provide like comma Raja, and then we will provide Alex. So more values I'm inserting because means you will get a better idea on the identity column by that. And then Adam. Okay, Adam. Okay, now insert these values and check how they are behaving. So basically what we have the, now this is fine, values, and then Adam. Now execute this, insert into correct syntax near values. So values we need to mention na? Values VLUES is missing here. Now execute this and now do a select star on the identity check column. Select star from identity check. We will go slowly and check each part of identity column in this particular video. Okay, so be aware of that. Select star from identity check. So you see all the values for that identity column, ID column has been auto filled 1 2 3 4, and they are coming in a serial because we have provided the seed as 1 and increment as 1. So what is seed? Seed is the initial value what we want for that particular identity column, so 1. Okay, and this particular increment is the value by what value we want our identity column to be increased. So here you can see it is increasing by 1 value each time, 1 1 1 and the 1. Okay, now let's move on to the PPT and check the description for that also. So see, key features of identity column. So the identity column has two parameters: seed, the starting value as we have checked. Now increment, the amount by which the value increases for each new row. Okay, the value increases for each new row. So as we have seen, we have provided the increment also as 1 and seed as 1. So our value is starting with 1 and incrementing each time with 1. Okay, now a second one, third one is auto increment. So identity column values are automatically added during insert, so you don't need to specify them. So as we have seen practically, now move on and check how we can create the identity column using the graphical user interface of SSMS. Okay, now here we will create one new table. So expand development DB and then go to table, the new table. So here we will create one table as identity check 2. So this also have the same columns like ID, and here mention the data type int. Okay, now for providing identity, we need to go below, expand this and move little bit down. So here you can see there is one column called identity specification. Now increase this. So is identity, then here currently it is no, so we need to mark it as yes. Okay, so yes, we want it to be identity. Now press anywhere. So here you can get the identity increment and identity seed. So we can increment this time by 1 and increment by 10, and then seed we will provide like our 10 also here also. So see how it is behaving when we are providing the seed 10 and increment 10. Okay, now other column we will provide as name 2, which will be our varchar and then 10. Okay, now save this, save table 1. So name, change the name to identity underscore check 2. So it is the second table. Now okay, now move on to the table, put a select star, open a new query window. Now select star from identity underscore check 2. Now execute this, what value we are getting. So currently we don't have any value, ID and name. Now just insert some values into this. So insert into identity check 2, copy paste, and then values. So here you need to mention values, not value. Okay, so previously we have done the mistake, but this time not. Okay, so here we will take some female names like Pooja. Okay, and then we will take Mary, and then take one no more name like Meena. Meena will be fine. Okay, and now insert these values. So see here we are only providing the names and identity column will be automatically written. Okay, now insert the value. Now do a select star. So currently see we have the values, and what we can see that the seed here is 10 and it is incremented each time by 10. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, but this is not looking good, so we can change it also here. So now go to tables, expand the table and search for our table identity check 2. Now go to design and here we will go to ID and then expand this, and then we can check the identity specification. So currently it's 10 10. We will do it seed 1 and increment 1. Okay, so this is fine. Now save the changes. Okay, the changes has been saved. Now again if we insert these values, we can see like from 30 the increment is 31 and 32 and 33. Okay, so this is fine. Now what we will check, let's move on to the PPT and check what other thing we have. So this is clear, and now considerations we will check. So only one identity column is allowed per table, so that will be clear. So only single column we can mark it as an identity column. And then second point, identity values cannot be updated directly. If needed, you may reseed them using dbcc check ident command. Okay, so basically identity values cannot be updated directly. like what it is meaning. So we will move to SSMS and check. So for identity check column we have 4 values currently, okay, as we can see. And now if we will delete all the values, delete from identity check. Now delete all the values, okay, everything deleted, 4 rows affected. Now do a select star. So and now when we insert our record into that, so currently we don't have any record, so the values will start from where? So we will check by inserting. Now insert this and then check the select star from identity check. So you can see the values are starting from 5 and not from 1, okay. So here it is mentioned identity value cannot be updated directly, means by itself it cannot be updated. So we need to check a command which is dbcc check command, okay. So currently just keep the name in your mind, later on we will discuss that also, what is in detail, like what is dbcc check command and all. So what we need to do, so again delete the records. Now for reseeding and re-incrementing, what we need to do, we need to put dbcc check ident, and then in bracket parenthesis we need to mention the table name, comma, reseed, 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 comma, from 1, okay, and the table name will come in quotes. This is fine. Now execute this, okay. So here what it is telling, checking identity information, current identity value is 8, okay, dbcc execution completed. If dbcc printed error, contact your system administrator, okay. Now it has been, means the increment is set to 1. Now check this. Now insert some values, okay. Now 4 records has been inserted. Now select star. So see here it is starting from 2 because we have provided the seed as 1. So already we have provided 1, so we need to reseed as a 0, then it will start from 1, okay. Now again delete the records and then use the dbcc check ident, then the table name, and then reseed to 0, okay. Now 0, execute this insert. Now currently we don't have any record here, okay. Now execute this insert statement, and then when we will check, so here the values, select identity insert, now something mistaken, then do the practical again, delete it. I think dbcc has not executed, delete. Now we don't have any record, okay, it is clear. Now again execute dbcc check ident. So checking identity information, current identity is 9, dbcc execution completed. If dbcc printed, now control R and then insert some values. Currently check what we have in the table, so nothing is available in the table. Now insert the records, insert into identity check table, and then when we will execute, select star, then see all our identity column has been reseeded and the incrementing is 111 we have, okay. So this is also clear. Now move on to the next one. Next what we have, to insert explicit value, you can enable identity insertion with set identity insert on. So if you mention a column as identity column, then you cannot explicitly add some values on that. So what will happen when we are explicitly adding values to that particular table, that particular column. So execute insert into insert query we will take. Now insert into this, and then we will put the identity column also. So last identity is which one, we will check. So currently 4 records are there. Now 5th record if we add, let's take the record from here, okay, so that we don't need to rewrite that. Now put that. Now then 5, then 6, then 7, comma, comma, then comma, then execute this, and what result it is showing, let's check. So see, it has mentioned an explicit value for the identity column in the table identity check can only be specified when a column list is used and identity insert is on. So we need to put set identity insert on for explicitly inserting value into an identity column. So how we will do that, let's check. So we need to mention like set identity identity underscore insert on the table, this one as on. Now execute this command. So command completed successfully. Now we need to mention the, with column names we need to mention the values, okay, otherwise it will not work. So if we do this, then see an explicit value without the, so here it is mentioning only be specified when a column list is used with identity insert on. So identity insert we have done. Now we need to mention the column names also. So column name we will mention comma id and the name one. Okay, now when we execute this, then it will insert the values. Okay, 3 rows affected. Now do a select star. So see, all the values has been inserted. Okay, so this is clear to everyone. Now let's move on to the next thing what we have. So how we can check the last identity value of a table. Okay, so basically we have multiple methods and we will check all of them currently. So by using ident current function. Okay, so the ident current function retrieves the last identity value generated for a specific table regardless of the session or scope. So basically what is the meaning of session? So session is this particular instance is open, this is session, this is another session. And what is scope? Scope means the this current insert statement is one scope, and if we will insert the value in identity column using a trigger, then that will be another scope. So if you don't understand trigger currently, then don't worry, we will mention in our later videos. Okay, so first let's create one more scope and first check from here what is the current identity column. So how we will check? We can use the current ident current. Okay, so do select current ident underscore current for the table identity check. Now see, it will provide you the last generated select column invalid column identity check, select identity ident current. Okay, select ident current function. Let me check what is the thing missing here. And table name, I think it need to be put in single quote. Okay, now this is the mistake. Single quote, we need to put the table name in the single quote. Okay, so 7 it is coming, and now check in the select statement what we are getting. So 7 is the last identity column for that particular table. So regardless of the scope and session, even if we do in the different session also, open a new query window, and if here also we will check, then we are getting 7. Okay, so this is clear to everyone. Now move on to the next one. So next we have the using dbcc check ident command. So the command can be used to check the current identity value of a table. So dbcc check ident command is also used to check the latest identity of a table. So we will use here only select dbcc check ident. Okay, select, we don't need to mention if we are mentioning the dbcc command. So dbcc check ident for identity check table. Okay, and the table name will come in single quotes. Now execute this. So see, it is providing a message checking identity information. Current identity value is 7, current column value is 7. Okay, so this is clear. So this is also providing the same, and this is also useful for other scopes also. It will provide the same result. Okay, other sessions. Okay, execute this. So here also it is providing the same thing. Current identity value equals 7, current value is 7. Okay, so this is clear also. Now move on to the next one. So next we have the using at identity. So at identity returns the last identity value generated from any table in the current session regardless of the scope. Okay, so scope is doesn't matter in this case, but the it will show the current identity column generated in that particular session only. Okay, outside the session it will not work. So it will be more understandable when we go and check in SSMS. Now we will create one trigger on top of this particular table, identity check. So create one trigger first and then we will check. So we are creating one new scope by creating the trigger. Now create trigger, then trigger name, ident trigger, ident underscore trigger on table name, then after insert begin and then end. So what we are going to mention, like if triggers are those means objects which are triggered on a particular action of like after inserting, after updating or after deleting. So we are going to mention if any value is going to insert in this particular identity check to table, then we will insert some value in that particular in the first table like identity check table. So insert, here our statement will come, insert into identity identity check table, and values we need to provide, values we can provide like 1. Okay, and here we need to switch off the set identity insert on to off. So how we will off this also you can see. So just mention off. Okay, so this is clear. Command completed successfully. Now we are here, as is missing, as begin and end. Create trigger name, and on identity insert, after insert identity check to, after insert as begin, insert into identity check table value as, so here we need to mention varchar value, so abc. Okay, now execute this. So trigger has been created. Okay, now insert a value into this identity check table 2. Okay, now insert into table identity insert identity check 2 values like def. Okay, now execute this. So see, one row affected and one row also affected for that identity check table. Okay, so now we will, if we check the current identity using the added identity, so select added identity added identity. Now what value it is providing to us? So it is providing us the 8, and the current here value is also 8, as one record has been inserted abc by the trigger. So it is not depending on the scope, but when we change the session, what will happen? So when we change the session and insert the value in a different session, and then we will check the value of added identity. So here when we are going to insert value into this, so now insert the same value here. Okay, so one row affected. Now when we check this added identity, select added identity, so it is providing 9, and this is for which one? Select ident current 9, select star from identity check. So 9 record are here also. Basically what is happened? So now check it here in a different scope, in a different session, this one. If we check added identity, then what value it is providing, insert into this. Now what is the latest identity value here? So it is 10, and when we check here with added identity, okay, nothing we are getting here. Copy and check in this particular scope what value it is providing, 8. Okay, so this is clear. If we are executing the value in a different scope, inserting from a different session, then it is taking the same session value. it is not changing that value. Okay, but in the same session, if we are inserting the value anyhow by any scope, like by using the insert statement or by using the trigger, it is providing the updated identity value. But ident current is flexible with both scope and session. So if we execute here, we are getting 10, and if we execute here, see, here also we are getting 10. Okay, so the table must be there, then only it will show at identity. Okay, so be clear for that. And now last one is using scope identity. So scope identity, what it will do, scope identity returns the last identity value generated within the current scope. Okay, so if even if the scope will be changed, then scope identity will provide you the last insert value only. Okay, so now check how it will work. So currently what value it is showing, check here. Now select current ident, current underscore ident, current ident current. No, no, we will check here. So using scope identity, select scope identity, sorry, scope identity. Okay, now execute this. Currently what it is showing, so currently 34 which table it is taking, let me check. So 10 record it has only. Now take it to a different session. A lot of records has been created here. So last generated identity value in that particular session it will show. Okay, now execute this here. So now execute, insert into id and name, cannot insert explicit. Okay, move this particular thing here, and from here also we need to move this, as identity insert is off. Now we will, when we execute this, so see, 3 rows affected. And now select star from here, what is the latest identity we have here, select star from our identity check table. Okay, execute. So currently we have 13 as the latest identity. So when you execute this, select scope identity, then it is providing you 13. Okay, but same thing when we do using this trigger. So how we will do, we will insert a value into identity check 2 table, and then we will check how it is reacting. Okay, so now execute this. So 1 row affected and 3 row affected. Okay, control R, execute this. Currently what we have here in identity check, so our current identity column is identity value is 14, and what this select scope identity is providing, so it is providing 39. It is providing for both, I think. Okay, so last generated here what we have, oh okay, so it is taking that identity check 2 table, that is why it is providing the 39. Okay, so move this one and keep that column, that table only. Now check here, insert into this. Okay, scope 15. Okay, so what we have here, so here we have 15. Okay, and when we use a different like session, what value it is providing, it will provide null here. Okay, so this is clear now. Like scope identity will provide the current value in that particular session only, and if the scope is different, then also it will provide, it will not work, means it will provide the old one only, old value only. But the ident check, we will check the latest value of that particular table's value, because here we are mentioning the table name also, this point is also need to be marked. And the check ident will provide you the latest identity value for that particular table. Now move on to the ppt and check the last point we have. So we can also query the system views to retrieve metadata about the identity column. So basically we can also use the sys table to check the identity column values. Okay, now copy this and we will check how we can use this. Open a new query window. Now do this. So first we will check what is this particular table doing, sys tables. So what record it has, control Z, select star from sys tables. So it is providing us the details of the table like name, object ID, principal ID and all. So these things also we will discuss in our later videos. But for now, the name is important. So name we are getting. So we have the identity check name and identity check to table name. So basically it is used when means for multiple table we want to know the identity column at one single go. So here we can mention that table name instead of equals to we can mention in, and we can write like in and give the multiple table names in single quote, like ident check also we will do, and then also we will check for ident check to table. Okay, now execute this. So what kind of record it is providing? So see here it is providing identity check a table has seed 1 increment 1, current identity value as 15, and identity check 2 table has seed 1 increment 1 and current identity value as 39. Okay, do a select star also and check, select star from identity check and identity check to table, identity check, and then select star from identity check to table. Execute first this one identity check. So here we have 15 as the latest identity value, and identity check to table we have 39 as the latest identity check value, means identity key value. Execute this here 3915. Okay, so this is clear to everyone, and thank you for watching everyone, and do like, share and subscribe, and many more videos are on the way. And by using this particular video I think all your identity column doubts are cleared, and how we will check the identity values and how to create the identity column, all the doubts are cleared. So like, share and subscribe, and do comments if you need our help, and many more videos are coming very soon, and contact if you need our help also. Thank you everyone, thank you for watching.